The leaves are starting to change here at Philmont Scout Ranch, and the mornings are a bit cooler as autumn and winter are just around the corner. I've even broken out my fleece jacket as I head to work each morning to help keep off the chill just a little bit. Speaking of jackets, today we're going to check out a couple of official BSA jackets in this edition of Artifact of the Week. Over the years, the BSA has had a number of official jackets, and today we're going to look back at the Mackinaw Coat, a short double-breasted coat made of a thick wool known as Mackinaw cloth. Now, Mackinaw cloth, as I mentioned, is a heavy and dense water-repellent woolen material, and initially Mackinaw cloth came in blue, red, and in a tartan pattern known as buffalo plaid. Mackinaw cloth was originally used to make blankets, and Mackinaw blankets are referenced by Josiah Gregg in his 1844 book, Commerce of the Prairies, about trade on the Santa Fe Trail. He notes that Mackinaw blankets were contraband, subject to confiscation by customs officers, but they could be concealed and smuggled in between the double layers of canvas that formed the roof of the covered cargo wagons. The Mackinaw Coat came into being in November 1811 when British Army Captain Charles Roberts was unable to obtain military-issued wintered greatcoats for the 40 soldiers of the 10th Royal Veterans Battalion he commanded at Fort Joseph along the St. Mary's River near Sault Ste. Marie. The last winter clothing these troops had received was 4 years earlier in 1807. Captain Roberts requisitioned 40 3.5-point Hudson Bay point blankets from the storekeeper at Fort Joseph. These blankets were made of Mackinaw cloth. The original order called for blue blankets, but there were not enough blue blankets, so the order was filled with red and buffalo plaid blankets as well. He then contracted with the storekeeper, John Askin Jr., to design and manufacture the 40 needed greatcoats with the Mackinaw blankets. Askin hired his wife, Madeline, and other local and indigenous women to fill the order. Madeline Askin was instrumental in the design of these new Mackinaw greatcoats, and the women went to work, delivering the finished product to Roberts within 2 weeks. It's reported that these greatcoats were superior in quality to the regularly issued greatcoats of the British Army, and they definitely increased the morale of the King's soldiers. The following summer, on July 17, 1812, Roberts and his men defeated Captain Porter Hanks and the 61 men of the 1st American Artillery Regiment during the siege of Fort Mackinac, located near present-day Mackinaw City in Michigan. Captain Roberts and his men occupied Fort Mackinac, and Roberts ordered more Mackinaw blankets to make more winter coats for the upcoming winter. Acting on a recommendation of a dispatch runner who said the length of the greatcoat made it very difficult to navigate the deep snow of the area, Roberts contracted with professional tailors and seamstresses to shorten the length of the coat and to produce the required coats that he ordered. The Mackinaw Coat was born. The new shorter design of the Mackinaw Coat was so beneficial for traveling and working in the wilderness that orders were received from people all over the region. The Mackinaw Coat, coupled with a knit cap, became the identifying characteristic of loggers in the Midwest, Northwest Territories, and Alaska in the mid to late 1800s. In the July 1912 issue of Fur News magazine, A.F. Wallace said, "In regard to clothing for the body, I will say right here that the man who invented the Mackinaw jacket or coat should have a medal if alive, or if dead, a monument. For in no other garment is there so much all-around common sense for outdoor work in cold weather." By 1922, the popularity of the coat had grown so much that the Hudson Bay Company began to commercially produce Mackinaw coats as a specific product in their clothing line. The popularity of the Mackinaw Coat as sportswear grew with hunters and fishermen throughout the 1930s. And during World War II, a variant of the Mackinaw Coat was designed for the military and issued to Jeep crews for winter wear. This version of the Mackinaw Coat became known as the Jeep Jacket. After the war, plaid versions of the Jeep Jacket were manufactured by Pendleton brand and became popular casual wear for American men. In the collection of the National Scouting Museum, we have 2 samples of the Mackinaw Coat. The first artifact is a very special sample of the BSA version of the coat. Its manufacturing sample approved on February 11, 1932 by James E. West, Chief Scout Executive. Note the official tag in the initials of West, signifying that this is the approved standard sample based on technical specifications covering invitation to manufacturers to submit sealed bids. Lot number 564 was produced by the Sigmund Eisner Company and is sized for a 16-year-old Scout. Our second sample of the BSA Mackinaw Coat is an equally pristine sample. Note the large BSA buttons and the waist belt. Now I imagine lots of scouts and scouters had great winter adventures while wearing this style of Mackinaw coat. Now before we go, the word Mackinaw is derived from an indigenous language word, Michmackinac, meaning a large turtle. French-Canadian fur traders transliterated the word and pronounced the final consonant as aw rather than as a hard C. Later the British truncated the word and changed the spelling to match the French pronunciation, Mackinaw. By the way, Fort Mackinac was spelled with the French spelling when it was built in 1780. Well, that's all the time we have for this week. Join us next time as we continue to learn more about the history of the BSA through the collection of the National Scouting Museum and Artifact of the Week.